Doom developer id Software hiring for new first-person game. First of all, duh. So it is interesting that this is news that's coming out just now because I was under the impression they were deep into development for their next game. I thought it would be whatever it's going to be, Quake 5, probably not a new Doom. I think they'll rest on that IP for now, but let's continue on with this article. There's some more interesting tidbits in here, but it says the Bethesda studio, id Software, responsible for the beloved first-person shooter, I mean, that's not news. We know they were working on a new FPS game, which I thought was going to be revealed at either E3 or QuakeCon, because it feels time for at least a cinematic teaser. But maybe they're taking longer for their next game. Speculation is rife among new fans about what the next game could be, with options like a Quake reboot or a new IP. I'll get to what I think it's gonna be at the end of this video because I have a theory. This part is interesting. The job post mentions the inclusion of vehicles, pointing towards a new Rage game or a different franchise. I swear to God, you better not be making it a Rage 3. It would be shocking to me because Rage 2, I think, was kind of a flop. So don't understand why there's vehicles, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's. Could you imagine it's like an open world Doom game? I don't think that works for Doom, but okay. The development studio behind the 2016 Doom reboot and its highly praised sequel, Eternal, id Software, is hiring for another first-person game. Weird that they're hiring now and they didn't years ago, but maybe they're far along and they just need more. I don't know. Development is weird. It's been over 3 years since the latest Doom Eternal released to immaculate reviews. Yeah, I want to replay it. Even being nominated for Game of the Year, it should have won. Eternal has been lauded as one of the best FPS titles of all time. Yes. Ever since Eternal's final DLC, The Ancient Gods Part 2, which I did not finish because, damn, it's hard, released a year later, fans have been speculating about what they will tackle next. Yes, I was hoping, beyond all hope, they would say something at E3. I keep calling it E3. It's not. Whatever. With the Ancient Gods putting a bow on the Doomslayer story, yeah. And I remember there was rumors that there was. I remember back when Eternal first came out, they them themselves said that their DLC would be about like you playing as the survivors, from the perspective of the humans on Earth as it gets taken over by Hell. That never happened. It was just Ancient Gods 1 and 2. So I don't know. I wonder if I can go back and find that. And fellow Bethesda studio Machine Games becoming the more than competent handler of the Wolfenstein franchise. Yes, still waiting on that. Fans have been pointing towards Quake and even Rage, and I think it's actually neither one, as territory id Software could visit next. Since the latter is the much lesser appreciated franchise, a possible Quake reboot has become a popular candidate, especially with the Quake 2 recently receiving an impressive remaster. I no longer think it's going to be Quake, and again, I will get to that at the end. The mystery surrounding id Software's next title may begin clearing up as recent job posting hones in on the likely genre of the game. I mean, we know it's going to be FPS. That's their bread and butter. Posting on LinkedIn, id put up a job posting for a senior weapons and prop artist. So this is why the game could be farther along than we think, because maybe they've designed all the gameplay, but maybe I think like because you don't have like. You can have rough weapons for a while, and you don't have them drawn out until late in the game. So maybe they've been using rough versions of, like, Doom Eternal weapons. So it could be farther along than we suspect. Most notably, the role requires the candidate to have worked on and shipped at least one first-person title. I mean, that's a given. This next part I agree with. It's a bit puzzling as to why id is hiring for such a position at seemingly such a late stage. True. Maybe they had a lot of design work to do for the next game. I don't know. Barring any major setbacks and according to tradition timelines of AAA games, production on the studio's next game would have begun right after Eternal's launch 3 years ago. Yeah. So again, maybe the weapon designing is late. Who knows? Even more importantly, I've seen games where they're still using weapons from the previous game for like a long time, up until like less than a year before the game's out, before they have new models. So could just be the development pipeline works that way. Even more importantly, vehicles are also mentioned in id, which is fascinating. Interestingly, Rage is id Software's only franchise to feature the use of vehicles. While certainly possible, it's highly doubtful id would add vehicles to Doom or even a potential Quake reboot. I think that could happen if it's more cinematic, as such franchises have historically been laser focused on player movement and robust first-person arsenals. Maybe they're doing the thing I said. They're doing the Doom from the perspective of a Marine, and you get to have more of an open world on Earth, and you're playing as a normal guy, like in Doom 3, and you're fighting off demons in vehicles and stuff. That'd be cool. That leaves either Rage 3 or an entirely new IP. However, with how poorly received Rage 2 was, it's difficult to imagine the lauded studio revisiting the Mad Max inspired apocalypse. I want a sequel to that, Mad Max 2. With the posting also mentioning the team making AAA games, it's also a possibility that id Software could be cooking up multiple games, which I do think is a possibility. But this is merely speculation. As nothing official has been confirmed by id Software, Bethesda, or Xbox thus far, fans will have to wait longer to learn about the celebrated studio's new FPS title. Perhaps the studio will be ready to reveal its new project next year, as it'll be 4 years since launching Doom Eternal. Yeah, it is weird that it's just now coming out for that. So, my theory about what their next game is was originally Quake 5, or probably just called Quake, a reboot, because of it seems the logical next step. But here's why I don't think so anymore. Quake, I don't think is, the imagery of Quake is not anywhere near as iconic as Doom. Doom can sell on the name Doom because it's so well known. I feel like Quake is not nearly as well known. You can ask someone on the street what Doom is. They're probably more likely to know that than Quake. So, and also, and the reason why I think this, because I just finished Quake 2, the remaster. After having played Quake 2 for the first time, I feel like the enemy designs are too similar. Go look at, I think I'll put some of this in post. Go look at some of the Quake 2 enemies. A lot of them, especially the ones that are they're attached to a tread or something, or flying, feel like they were used in Doom Eternal. And apparently, what's his face? Not Marty Stratton, the other guy. Why am I blanking on his name? Hugo Martin. He told his team to go play Quake 2 again before they embarked on making Doom Eternal. So why would they make another game right after Doom Eternal, which was heavily inspired by Quake 2? I feel like they're very creative guys, and they don't want to retread the same ground so soon. So I think they're going to move completely away from Doom or Quake. If Quake comes back, I think it could be a second project. Id will still... Because the last Quake game was a Raven Software game. I'm pretty sure Quake 4 was Raven. Id just published it. Raven developed it. So I doubt that'll happen, though, because Raven has been absorbed into the Call of Duty machine. They're stuck for eternity making Call of Duty now. Sorry, Raven, you were great. I could see some other internal Xbox studio making a new Quake, and then id providing the license and all that. So that could be a possibility. Also, the Doom thing could happen with playing as a Marine, and there's vehicle elements. Don't know what. It's very weird that there's vehicle stuff. But the thing that I think is the most likely, believe it or not, is a Hexen style game, like Hexen 2 or Heretic. And part of the reason is this photo right here. Do you remember this? Phil Spencer had a photo, or not a photo. He had a shirt that said Hexen on it at the last summer. Was it Summer Games Fest? It was Xbox's showcase. He had that shirt on, and everyone was like, that's interesting. So either that means those games are being ported to Xbox, which I would love to play those original games, but I think it is tackling Dark Fantasy next. And my original thought was that the next Quake 5, would incorporate the Dark Fantasy elements of Quake 1 and the sci-fi of Quake 2 somehow in the story. They'll be half the game will be Dark Fantasy, half will be sci-fi. I no longer believe that. I think they're going to... I don't know if it owns the Hexen and Heretic IP. I think Raven does, so maybe they'll get that back from them. I'm not positive. But they'll either call it... They might call it something else. It might be a brand new IP that is Dark Fantasy, but I think they will call it Hexen or Heretic. I don't know, Hexen 3? Who knows? A reboot of Hexen, but have it be a Dark Fantasy FPS. So you can incorporate elements from Quake 1. You can have enemies like the Knights in that, and you can have an axe. You can play around with the dark Gothic setting and the Cthulhu-like imagery. You could have all that, but have it be in an FPS. But have it play more like Hexen. Because I just don't think you can like cleanly meld the look and feel of Quake 1 and 2 into one game. Like I feel like that just feels like two different games. And it's just weird that started as a dark fantasy series and then moved to sci-fi. So no longer believe it's going to be Quake. I think it's going to be a dark fantasy game. And if that's the case, I think that's cool. You can take a break. You had 2016, you had Doom Eternal, you had the DLC. I think that's enough Doom for now. Take a little break. You could always come back to it for a third game. But in the meantime, do something new and creative, which I think is Hexen, like magic-based shooter. And that's all the rage right now. Look, Immortals of Avium just came out. Forspoken, yeah, that didn't review well, but these like magic shooters seem big right now, so I think Hexen could work for that. So Phil always has a reason for wearing his shirts, and I think that's what he was teasing with that Hexen shirt. So that's what I think id's next game is. So sorry for being a little bit long-winded, but I think that's what's happening, and I kind of want to go to QuakeCon next year. I thought this year they would announce their next game, but like I said before, they probably are taking longer on the next one. So in the meantime, I'll probably replay Eternal several times because it's a masterpiece. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait and see, find out. There's so much cooking up at Bethesda. I want to know what's happening with id and Machine Games. Where is Wolfenstein 3? Where is Indiana Jones? I want to see that stuff. So, didn't get it this year. Fingers crossed, maybe Game Awards, that could still happen. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyways, what do you guys think? Are you fans of id, like I am? Do you like Doom Eternal? What do you think the next game's going to be? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, peace out.
I'm willing to take full responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand. Our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand.